Kidding.
How we doing, everyone, and welcome back to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie, and tonight we are going to be going over our Monday night predictions, Eagles hosting the Commanders. We have Pete Rose issuing an engraved apology to Major League Baseball. That should be interesting to see how current Commissioner Rob Manfred sees that. We're going to talk some current NBA, and we are also going to definitely speak on the Kyrie Irving situation. And we have plenty of details. That's an ever-changing situation. With me tonight, my guy, Mr. Idris Salam, as we are both in Unity rocking our Knicks jerseys. All right. We got my guy, Mike Zappi. I think he's driving. At least that's what he said. So he cannot be seen tonight. And in corner number 4, we have my guy, Mr. Ryan Wagner. Welcome back to the show, Wags. Good to see you.
Pleasure to be back. Thank you for having me.
All right. Good to see you. Good to be here. We are going to start with our Monday Night Football prediction, as this game will be starting rather quickly. I'm going to let Zappy, you start this jazz up, and we'll go around table. What is your prediction for tonight's game?
Well, with the loss yesterday by the Cowboys, this is more of the Eagles have one team they have to worry about now. The Cowboys are pretty much out of the race now for the NFC East, so they're pretty much battling for the number 5 position. I think the Eagles are going to have a tough game tonight. Washington did not activate Chase Young.
Zappy, can you slow down and repeat your first statement?
Yeah.
That was good.
Which one? I forgot my first statement.
About the Cowboys?
About the Cowboys.
Like, what the F are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. The Giants are in second place, and enjoy it for the next 10 days.
All right. Well, I'll take it for now. Zappy, who's in third place?
Dallas is. I'm not complaining. I told you I felt like we were going to lose. And
Show your face.
You kept telling me.
That's why he's not showing his face.
Show your face.
Show your face. Show your face and show me you're not angry. You want to punch me in the face.
I'm not angry. Anyways, but yeah.
I'm just kidding, Zappy. Continue.
I just want to see your face. And
Washington is going to Washington's defense is going to have to play a big game. Taylor Heinicke is going to have to make a couple of plays. He was the reason why they lost last week to Minnesota, throwing a interception that he should have never thrown.
Good point, Zappy. Very good, strong point. Good point.
But it's going to come down to what we know. It's Philly is going to run the ball. Jalen Hurts will make plays when he needs to Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. And the Eagles' defense is going to show up. I'm expecting a close game, though. I forgot what the score I predicted last week, but I still believe that Philly gets to 24, and I think Washington will be right there, sitting around 20 points. Close game, but Washington won't be able to do enough to come out with the W on this one.
Wags, how do you feel about this game tonight? Washington visiting Philly.
34-12.
Woo!
In favor of the home team?
Yes.
So you got them putting the smackdown on them similar to the first meeting.
This is not an insult against Taylor Heinicke or the commies. I mean, members.
Doesn't matter what their name is. They've changed it so many.
Yeah.
Flippity flipping, whatever. Yeah.
They might be something else next week. So
yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly.
They'll still be owned by Daniel Snyder.
So he's a minor.
Yeah, with Daniel Snyder. That's another ever moving situation.
But this is not. This is what I'm saying now. Has nothing to do with my predictions on the Eagles, how they're going to finish the season. If we're just talking about tonight,
34-12.
Well, you haven't been here in a while, so since you are here, and since
I've been following the shit. Go ahead.
How do you feel about the NFC East? Fast forward, how do you think it plays out? Just a random. What do you think?
I think it's awesome the fact that last year it was the NFC least, and now it's the NFC beast.
Mm-hmm.
And how does this play out in your opinion?
Disagree with me?
No.
The East is back.
The Cowboys should have won last night. Let's say in theory they would have won. That makes them 7-2 instead of 6-3. 7-2, they're still either tied for a second or whatever.
Yeah. They would have been tied with the Giants with a tiebreaker. They did beat us. Yeah. Do that one more time. I like when you do that.
He loves it when I do this. Can I do it one more time for you guys?
Absolutely. We got a few minutes.
Man.
Yes, I like that.
But irregardless, I think I think they're going to blow out the Commanders.
Okay.
And how do you see this division playing out? Do you feel Philly wins the division, or is there a collapse coming? Or
They're
not a collapse, but
they're not going to go
falling out?
undefeated. They're not going to go undefeated.
Okay.
Damn thing. Actually, I don't know if it's bad or good for them if they don't go undefeated. I don't see them 17 games in the year. Shit. After week 7, after week 18, here's what I'm going to predict this. Philly is going to be 15-2.
Ooh.
Giants are going to be 12-5. Cowboys are going to be 13-4.
Okay. Idris, your thoughts on tonight's game, and if you want to even elaborate on how this plays out.
Yeah. Washington and Philly, there's usually one game where something just goes crazy.
Yes.
But they always have that one game where Washington says, you know what? We're playing y'all today.
Uh-huh.
I think tonight's the night. Washington upsets Philly. I think it'll be close. I'm taking 24-21. I think it'll be close. As for the division, I think Philly's going to win it. I don't think 15-2. I think they're going to get hit because see they've been winning games, but they haven't been playing 4 quarters.
That's a good point.
They bust you in your mouth the first 2 quarters, and it seems like they sit on the lead, and you can't do that all year.
No,
someone's going to hit you.
Yes, sir.
Even with our team, the Giants, the first half we're like, but the second half we come out like, we start hitting you, and Dable. We'll talk about the Giants later. Anyway, I see the division playing out like Wag said in that order. I think Dallas. I don't think it's over for Dallas yet. They got to get it together. I think they need to go back to the way they played with Cooper Rush. But I say Eagles 13-4, Giants. Dang, it's so hard. 11-6. 11-6. Dallas could be 11-6, maybe. Yeah, somewhere there. I think even I call them the Commodores.
the commies.
I think they'll get to 8 games, maybe 9. I think our division is going to be. We could have 4 teams over 500, man.
Yeah, I don't think the Commanders are going to get over 500. But I do believe that I think the Giants, the Cowboys, the Eagles will all be rather easily north of 10 wins. I got the Giants finishing 11-6, possibly 12-5. A lot's going to come down to that Turkey Day game, the rematch in Dallas. And, of course, Dallas still has to play the Eagles on Christmas Eve. And we have 2 meetings with the Eagles. The second one we might actually be attending.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as my prediction goes, I've got the Commanders losing a close one to the Eagles, 27-23. I do believe that the Commanders are going to have every chance to win this game. I'm just not 100% sure if they will. The Eagles, one thing I got to say about them, their defense gets very good and stingy in the fourth quarter. That's been a telltale of most of their games, regardless if the offense sputters a little, allows teams to stay in games. Got to give them credit. They do have a hell of a defense and a hell of an offensive line. Zappy, before we change topics, what is your prediction?
I was going to say, if the Eagles somehow come out flat tonight and they come out of there with a loss, then the NFC East is back to wide open, and it's going to come down to that December 24th game, because I still have the Eagles losing a couple games. I believe they're going to lose to the Bears, and I believe they lose on Christmas Eve. It's just a matter of, can you guys beat them one time, which I think you can. And if that's the case, and if they lose tonight, that's going to shake it up, because where Dallas has losses, obviously they have 3 conference losses, but they still only have 1 division loss. And if Philly comes out of there losing to Washington tonight and then Dallas in one other random game, Dallas takes that division.
It's wide open.
It's wide open.
So you don't have Dallas being in a 2-game deficit going into Turkey Day? You got you guys winning on the road against Minnesota this coming week, I take it.
Yeah, I had us losing one of the 2 games, and personally, I thought we were more vulnerable to Green Bay than we were to Minnesota.
Me too.
Only because of the fact that Green Bay has a better defense, and Aaron Rodgers always performs against the Dallas Cowboys. And plus, I was worried about that running game.
8-2.
I kept emphasizing on it. And what did Green Bay do? They ran the ball 64% of the time yesterday.
No, it's a valid point, and it's been proven over time, recent history, more so the Aaron Rodgers era, that he has had a great deal of success against your Dallas Cowboys. And I also think that when you lose a game to a team that is not having the kind of year you're having, it's a wake-up call that gets you refocused for a tougher challenge in the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm going to say this short and sweet. I am not buying the Minnesota Vikings even with the Buffalo win. I think Buffalo played like crap in that second half, and they barely lost the game despite Josh Allen being so reckless with the football. I still believe that the Minnesota Vikings could be paper tigers. Time will reveal that. And we have a big meeting with them as well. We're actually playing those guys on Christmas Eve when you're going to be playing Philly. So there's a lot going to be sorted out in this conference. We're going to move it along to something that I have been talking about amongst my friends for quite some time now. I know Idris has been kind of burning on this one as well. The NBA Players Association may possibly intervene with this Kyrie Irving situation, more so in reference to the Brooklyn Nets kind of dragging their feet on playing him. What led us here is question one. And towards the end of this, I do want to kind of back it up, and I'm going to speak on LeBron. And as always, roundtable discussion. Idris, I'd like you to start this and end this, but I'd like you to start this one.
What got us here, of course, the link that Kyrie shared. And let me put it out there. No one's taking away his free speech. I don't know why people are saying they're taking away his free speech. No, if they took away his free speech, he wouldn't be able to do what he did. Period.
Yes.
And people forget free speech does not protect you from people punishing you or anything like that. It's just saying you can say whatever the hell you want to say, but you still got to deal with the repercussions and consequences.
Valid.
I think with him,
damn right.
Yeah, I think that's one of the problems in how we got here is the suspension that they impose on Kyrie. People don't realize he still works for someone. Even if you support Kyrie, I support his free speech to say what he says, but you still work for somebody, and they can say, "Look here, you represent our company. We can't have this," and that's just the way it is. Like my job, they know how I am on Facebook, but I don't jump over that. One thing, I'm not a racist. I'm not big. I'm not going to go over that line anyway. If you know me, Richie, I go after my own people more than anything. But they know how I am. But I don't say anything that's going to say, okay, he doesn't represent the company, because I'm more comedic. I joke a lot. And
in times like these, I think it's important to be able to still joke, because I think about I'm not leaving the conversation. I'm just making an analogy, an example. When I think about guys like Richard Pryor, Dice Clay,
my era.
Even a lot of the dudes from the Def Comedy Jam, I'm like, I don't know if these guys would be able to even make us laugh anymore with some of this. You're going to go on social media and you're going to see a litany of different opinions regarding this matter. I'm going to try to the best of my ability to keep my stance on this short and sweet. I take issue here. I'm going to start with LeBron. I'm going to take it back to Kyrie.
Oh, yeah.
I take issue with LeBron here because I feel that while LeBron, I applaud him for a lot of his contributions financially, opening a school. I think in that regard, LeBron has been a great dude off the court. Where I take issue with LeBron is that sometimes I think it's okay to not always say the first thing that's burning in your brain, because more so than offending people, because I don't necessarily think it's that LeBron's offending people. I think it's more so that he's putting other people in precarious positions. We see this with Kyrie when LeBron spouted off and then he's kind of retracting what he said and now trying to come to Kyrie's defense. I don't think LeBron did it maliciously, but I do think that he kind of screwed Kyrie. And another standing example of this, just to keep it short and sweet, is, going back to the situation with the police officer. Ultimately, it was proven that it was procedure. And my whole thing is, I just feel that LeBron escalated it before the facts came out. And I do have a sensitivity and an understanding as to why people will hit a knee jerk. But, you know, if you or me are wilding out, getting mad about the situation, I guess what I'm trying to say in the most logical way possible is we don't have the following of a LeBron James or a Kanye West or a Donald Trump. And you have to be more coherent to who's around you, who's listening, because what these guys fail to realize sometimes is that they are put on the highest of pedestals. And their minions will literally do damn near anything because they do have that kind of admiration amongst the people that they represent, whether it's a politician, a rapper, or the basketball player in this case. As far as Kyrie goes, I'm not a big fan of our NBA commissioner because I feel that he is a puppet similar to our NFL commissioner. I understand that you have sponsors. I understand that you have to appease people that are financially running the league as well as other ventures. But, you know, there's a very big gray area to Idris's initial point about what free speech means. And there are repercussions that come with it. Quite frankly, if we want to dumb it down and put it in layman's terms, no post could truly hurt. But you know what does hurt? The fact that Nike's dropping him, but yet this is the same Nike that has children working in sweatshops. So you do the math and you figure out where it starts, where it ends, what's real, what isn't. I personally do not care for anything that so much as even initiates a hatred for any people in this world. But at the same time, I also understand that there is a fine line. And I do believe that on Drink Champs, when Kanye legitimately exposed his feelings, that this is not going anywhere and this is going to be a long-standing conversation. I'm done on this, but Idris, by all means, continue.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I'm going to shift the thing back to my people like I do on social media. And I get into it. People call me Uncle Tom, not realizing Uncle Tom was actually a good person. But people don't ever read the story. They just assume
didn't say he wasn't. But go ahead.
Yeah, Uncle Tom wasn't a sellout. He actually died for anyway. But we have a hard time of accepting accountability. Like with the Kyrie thing, our people got an issue with money. If you got money, everything else you did is whatever. We forgive you. And I hate that because
wait, from whose perspective are you talking about that? I'm just asking. I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're good. I mean,
I'll shut up after that.
I mean, that's how it is in our that's how it is in our community. If we got money, we have a tendency of forgetting everything, whatever the black person did, which is foolish because he with Kyrie, not Kyrie.
No, talk. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Now you good with Kanye. I be telling people, did y'all forget the stuff Kanye did? Did y'all forget the stuff Kanye said? Yeah, but now he's his own man. And I said, the stuff Kanye said, it's been said 1,000 times, but y'all act like this is some new stuff. And y'all praising this man who admitted that he does the things he do to promote his music. He will excuse my friend, he will shit on white people to sell his album. Then once he sells his album, he'll shit on black people.
Exactly.
And I say he don't care. Yeah. He's trying to build his brand. And with Kyrie, like I said, I support his free speech. Because that's the American way. You got free speech. But you got to be accountable. Everything true sometimes doesn't have to be said. Sometimes you don't have to say certain stuff. Just keep your mouth shut. And I'm not saying be a sucker where they could say, "Oh, you scared to say something."
It doesn't have to be explained.
Yeah, you don't have to always. Yeah, and with LeBron,
right?
Me and Richie had this discussion earlier. He flip-flops. He flip-flops. I'm like, when he came out, he had no support for Kyrie. He was like, blah, 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 blah. Now he's shifting he's doing what he does.
And this is a flip-flop that happens too frequently with LeBron, and it frustrates me because my thing is like, quite frankly, I think that you're hurting Kyrie more than helping because you have a lot of people that are already very sensitive to, I guess you could say, a perception of what Kyrie was presenting. At the same time, I also believe that one of the best ways to overcome a lot of all of this, and what I mean by all of this, is taking a small gambit of a thing, running 6 miles with it. Then when facts come out, that's usually the last thing that people worry about.
Stand by your word. And see, with Kyrie, I think he's backtracking now because he's getting that heat.
Yes.
But
again, it makes you wonder, like, where is it? And, with LeBron, and even if you want to even moderately, slightly mention the stuff with China, and that's another thing that like legitimately makes me question
what side
the sincerity. And this is once again why I say, similar to when we used to goof on Donald Trump with like the many tweets, and people were like, who's this PR guy? Like, get the martini out of his hand and put his phone away. Like Kanye's a genius to me. I'm a hip hop head. At the same time, I watched the entire Drink Champs interview.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, the way that I see it is that, I want to know what's truly in anyone's heart, and if they're falling forward and trying to fall on the sword. Because quite frankly, I think that when it came to some of the stuff with Kanye, I do particularly believe that it was more about power than the people. And by no means am I saying I live in this man's head, and I know that without question, but there are a lot of variables here.
It is. Yeah. He basically said it.
And there's a lot of politician on that, and that turns me off. One thing about me, I don't care for any politicians.
Yeah, it's a sticky situation.
It's a sticky one.
I just want to know why people are so
is that Zappy?
Yeah. Oh wow, Zappy's there.
Is he gonna show his face?
I'm listening.
Zappy.
I'm listening, but people
What's up, Zach?
People are upset at Kyrie. People are upset at Kyrie because of not realizing why they're really upset. But why aren't people losing their mind about Jeff Bezos? It was through his platform that this video was shared through too, So it's like, are you mad at Kyrie just because you're like, oh no, I got to be mad at him because it's another NBA player, NFL player? Because now we're approaching the situation where what happened to Colin Kaepernick it might happen to Kyrie.
Right.
So
and you know what? The feed on what you just said, Zappy, I'm glad you mentioned Jeff Bezos, because me and Richie was talking about Brett Favre earlier, and I said it goes back to that situation. And people, my people are going to get mad at me, but I keep it. Me, Richie, I keep it 100. I don't care. But it's like what they said about Brett Favre. Why is everybody forget? Why does this? Y'all forget about Brett Favre? I'm like, well, y'all are not doing your research, because Brett Favre was not the main player in this thing. I'm not absolving Brett Favre.
He's the most famous player.
Right. I'm not absolving him at all.
No, me neither.
What about the former governor of Mississippi who was like, hey, Brett, I got this deal for you. And that's why I keep telling my people, y'all need to research. Y'all are just having this outrage when you don't even know all the facts. The former governor of Mississippi has a bigger hand in this thing. Brett Favre was just the athlete. And that's my thing. If you're gonna hold people accountable and say you support somebody, know the facts.
And similar to Kyrie, similar to CK7, I do believe that you do your history even with sports.
Yeah.
For the former Chris Jackson, forgive my pronunciation if I'm wrong on this. Abdul Rauf is his last name.
Yeah,
I do not necessarily remember how to pronounce his first name. The point to be made is he was booed mercilessly for not wanting to stand for the national anthem, and this was way before it became trendy.
He prayed.
This is way before a social justice situation.
He prayed, and they got mad because he was praying.
Indeed.
He stood, but he just prayed.
Right.
Yeah, and they didn't like it.
Indeed. And I guess what I'm trying to say is times change, things change. But I think the one common denominator here when we look at a lot of this is that people have an issue doing the little bit of extra research and looking at the history of all these situations, because it does tend to be more times than not rather cyclical. What can be learned here? I think that's the main thing. What can we learn here? How do we turn an ultimate negative into hopefully a powerful positive? I think that's really what we're looking for.
People have to be consistent.
We have to be consistent, absolutely. And I think the other thing we learned from it is something that many of us have already learned and they forget so quickly, is how quick social media can destroy you.
Right.
You know, one simple share of something, which we all do it all the time. We do it all the time. We share things on social media to get it out there, but eventually it's going to offend someone. And then that's where it blows up. So really, what's to be learned from this whole situation? I mean, be careful what you share in regards to Kyrie or anyone else like that. But it's gonna go back. We're gonna be back in this situation again. And you know, and that's the crazy thing about it.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then as far as Kyrie goes, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation. But however, if the NFL or if the NBA Players Association does go out and sue, I think he is going to win this one.
Because I tend to agree.
You know, if he's being held back getting his money, he's going to get that money eventually. And
you know, he was fucking money, man.
He was given a 5-game suspension at a minimum with plenty of guidelines he had to meet. He's met the majority of those guidelines, yet he's still not playing.
Right.
So, you know, it's like, are we looking at a situation here where Kyrie is no longer going to be a Net? Are we looking at a situation where the Nets are in a position where they're just going to blow this up completely? Are we talking about, you know,
actually,
KD now, he doesn't want to be there. We know that. Yeah. Kyrie, I don't think they want him there.
Yeah.
So, but the NBA needs Kyrie. The NBA needs Kyrie out there. That's the thing. He's one of the superstars. You know, he's a guy that if you follow college basketball, although he only played so many games for Duke, while he was out on the court,
1 year for Duke. Yeah, you're 1 year for Duke.
Well, he didn't even play the whole year. He played, I think, 12
games.
Yeah. Or 12 games, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, plus the NCAA tournament, 12 games.
I'm not zapping. I'm not disagreeing with you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But Wags. Hold up. Talk. Go ahead. You.
I didn't mean to disagree. I was just saying Zappy. No, I was just saying that. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Get it out.
Go.
No,
you good.
First. I can't even see your face. I only see your.
Wags, let's go. Come on, man. If you're gonna interrupt somebody, you got to say something.
Okay. Kyrie Irving. What the fuck, man? We all know he's got a good heart, right? But we're all tired of him. So my question is this: what's going to happen to him? I know the entire offseason, the NBA offseason was all the drama with Brooklyn and everything else like that. Hey, I want to get left go. It's either Steve Nash or the owner or this or that, and then Kyrie does his own thing. What would you do with him? Zappy, I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking.
Well, obviously, Kyrie was brought in with Kevin Durant and James Harden because they were building the next super team.
No, wrong. Kyrie was brought in with Kevin Durant. The James Harden thing did not happen until the year after.
Well, either way,
right?
They were brought in. It's time to blow it up, is what I'm getting at.
I agree.
It's time to blow it up. And for a guy like Kyrie, I think he does better in a small market team. He does not need to be in a big market. I believe when he was in Cleveland, he performed greatly, you know. Then he goes to Boston, and it was not so much. And now he's in Brooklyn. I believe he needs to go to a team where it's not millions of fans that are going to turn on you so quickly. I believe he needs to go somewhere smaller, and his career would continue. As far as Kevin Durant, trade the guy. You know, I understand why you brought him, but you're not going to get the Kevin Durant you wanted. You're not going to get the Kevin Durant you got out of when he was with the Warriors or when he was with the Thunder. It's time to trade him. Go get assets that are going to allow you to build this team for the future. Whether the coach is going to be Jock Vaughn after this season or they're going to move on to somebody else, it's time to just blow this up and start over.
You know what? I think with Kyrie, and this is where all of the NBA players fail, and whoever's around him. He needs somebody who's going to say, Kyrie, chill. He needs that one voice in his ear to talk to him, like, hey, man, blah, 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 blah. And see, we thought that was LeBron. We thought that was KD. Because, you always got that one homie who's like, yo, let me talk to you before you do this. Or don't do that. The guy's still young. Because I know when I came up, I had that one person, yo, Idris.
Kyrie's 30, but yeah.
Yeah, but you always need that mentor. But see, he's never had. See, with LeBron,
I wasn't
cared about him. Oh no, yeah. LeBron was there for him basketball wise. Yes, that's my little brother. If you notice when he always did stuff, LeBron, and I'm not bashing LeBron, but let's keep it 100. He never said, "No, man, just chill." Let's just chill. We trying to build this. Let's go. Even when Kyrie was wilding out last year, KD and them never said, "Yo, we got to build this." If they did behind closed doors, it never showed. But they could, like, yo. Chill. We got this. Let's build this. Let's keep it moving. But they all thought about themselves. Katie, I'm tired. I want to get out of here. James Harden, I'm tired. I want to get out of here. When y'all came together to do something, but now things are falling apart. Y'all not communicating with each other and say, hey, yo, man, we came together.
And I think the biggest issue with KD, considering that he's the one who the organization signed when he couldn't even walk at the time.
Right.
Coming off that injury in the NBA Finals.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Look at the Warriors. They check each other.
Oh, yeah.
They check each other.
Because they're a family. They're not a bunch of mercenaries.
Right.
Well,
they check each other.
You got the Warriors, they have a bunch of alpha dogs. The Nets don't. And like you said, they check each other. If Draymond goes and punches a teammate, they check him because we saw what we saw. But I guarantee you, Curry and Clay were on him.
Yeah,
they were on him.
So Draymond, Curry and Clay are never going to punch each other.
No,
but when you see Draymond smack his teammate, when you see Draymond smack his teammate, and they can overcome it as men, and the media doesn't take it over, and there's not six different stories between two different people, it speaks volumes about that locker room.
Hey, Richie, behind closed doors, they're probably in there like, look here, you do that again.
Right. Right. I mean, you think this didn't happen with Showtime Lakers or with the 90s Bulls? 20-something years later, you hear that Michael Jordan's like smacking around Steve Kerr.
Right. Look at Kobe.
He's so little. He's so little. Who wants to hurt Steve Kerr
with the Lakers? They said how Kobe like, look here. You sit down. You ain't playing. Those are leaders. Those are guys. Those are guys.
Yes.
Oh God. Let's move on.
Bottom line is, in the best interest of the Brooklyn Nets, taking away my biased opinion towards that team, speaking as an NBA fan, it's time to just move on. And then as far as Kyrie Irving goes, will he play another game? I surely hope so.
He will. He will.
I think he will too, but I hope it's not a situation where it gets out of control. But in the meantime, get the NBPA, give it a deadline. If he's not back on the court, say within the next 4 games, then file lawsuits, sue the Nets and
go get him. I mean, it's right. Why not? He playing.
Like Zach, can I ask you a question?
Like Idris said. He has the right to post whatever he wants. And that's the thing that people need to realize. He has the right to say whatever he wants to say. Everyone in this country has that God-given right.
Wags has a question for you. Go ahead, Wags.
What's up, Wags?
Zappy, what would you do if you're the Brooklyn Nets?
With the whole situation, I would have.
In general.
This past offseason, I would have blown it up.
You are the GM of the Brooklyn Nets. What do you do?
You blow it up. He just said that. You blow it up.
Yeah, I'm blowing it up.
Blow it up.
Think about everything that's being brought onto this team right now. if you're a general manager or an owner of a basketball team, football team, I blow it up. It's time.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because they're not going to hit the pinnacle that they almost hit, which is your 7-game series stretching, almost winning, stepped on the line series with the Milwaukee Bucks. That was their pinnacle.
East
They're
is
not
too
going
deep
to
now.
hit that again.
The East is too deep now.
Let me ask you a random question, guys. How do you explain the fact that the Golden State Warriors are 0-7 on the road?
I have an answer here.
Go ahead, Richie.
Sometimes I think teams that have been together for a long time and that have mastered the grind of the playoffs, I tend to believe, a lot of people forget this, but it was even documented in The Last Dance. I'm not 100% sure if it was your 97 or 98 season. I'd have to double check and fact check that, but I do recall that the Chicago Bulls legitimately for like the first quarter, almost the first half of the year, were kind of fiddling around 500 ball on the road. And now they got it together. They won the chip. I'm not going to question or worry too much about Golden State just yet because they have the resume to say this isn't that serious yet. You know what we're going to do when the lights are on, and we could do it as a low seed. We could do it as a high seed.
Yeah.
Respectfully, I got you.
This is not a Warriors team that has only won one championship.
Right. They're not one hit wonder.
Exactly. They're building possibly their second dynasty.
Right.
And speaking in regards to the Warriors, the things I want to see them do, I want to see them utilize Jonathan Kuminga more. Because he, in my opinion, is the guy that is going to replace Draymond.
Jonathan Kuminga.
He's got the all-star written all over him. So, I want to see his minutes go up. Get him about 16, 17 minutes a game. The Warriors are going to be just fine. I'm not really, they started off slow, but I think people expect so much out of them because they were a 73-win team a few years ago.
The year they lost, but go ahead.
No, that's irrelevant. They are a team.
They're constantly there.
Wait,
you know what? The feed on what Zappy's saying.
Go ahead.
I don't want to hear.
Go ahead, Wags. Go ahead.
I don't want to hear nothing from you until you show your face.
Only not happening.
Because
but anyways,
I miss seeing your face.
Well, no. What I'm saying is the Warriors. They're going to be just fine. Even if they get into the play-in tournament, they're going to get in. This is a championship caliber team that re-signed Jordan Poole, re-signed Andrew Wiggins, has the nucleus to build a run after Steph and Clay and Draymond walk away from this team. They have a Hall of Fame coach. No, I'm not worried about them at all. Like, they're going to be fine. When it's time to turn it on, which will be around January, they're going to turn it on.
You know what? You remember those Heat teams that I couldn't stand, but they did the same thing. They would just lollygag throughout the season. Come to All-Star break. Okay, let's go. It's time to play basketball.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about them, and there's also a part of me that thinks that they are going to be fielding trade offers for a couple of players, James Wiseman being one of them. I thought he was going to fit in real well with that team. Obviously, he missed last season with an injury. His rookie year, he looked good, but then he got hurt. I don't think he fits that team.
No. I thought he did at first, but I agree with you,
the style of the ball, I don't think he fits. So I think trading the James Wiseman away would go a long way where they're going to be able to get some good draft equity where they can go out and get themselves another 2 or a point guard or even a 3, So Steve Kerr, that organization, they know what they're doing. They're going to work it out. They'll be back in the playoffs. I still believe they're going to be the champions again this year.
Me too.
So, and then, like I said, as far as the Nets, it's time to end it. You don't have a team with Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Ben Simmons, all these former superstars that they've had to be 5-6 or 6-7, whatever they are right now. You just don't do it. There's too much. I don't know if there's a lot of animosity going on in the locker room, but something tells me that there is. Just simply
there's no leadership.
There is no leadership. You have no dogs in that locker room. You got
no dogs. No dogs, but you got a lot of selfish kittens. What I would like to say before we talk about the Pete Rose apology that's going to be issued to Major League Baseball, I want to apologize to my viewers for our fourth guest. I don't necessarily know what his intentions were of being on the show this evening, but it's not acceptable and it's not good enough for what we do here. Right. So that's going to just leave that there, and we're going to motor it along to Pete Rose. Issues an apology to MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred. This was a very detailed letter.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you, whether you like the man, whether you hate the man, whether you're indifferent, whether you're somewhere in the middle, I do tend to believe that Rob Manfred might consider this just on the verbiage that Rose used. Zappy and I spoke about this off air, and Zappy believes that no matter what, Rose will not get inducted. I'm 50-50. I don't necessarily have a formulated opinion. But what I will say is this, because we were talking about hypocrisies when it comes to puppets that are commissioners. I'm not going to go all the way in on Rob Manfred because this was a problem long before his arrival.
Yeah.
The only thing that I want to say with regard to this matter is, number one, if with the exception of Ichiro Suzuki, because if Ichiro Suzuki was in the States playing his whole career, he'd be the hit king.
Goodness.
At the end of the day, it is Pete Rose. I do not condone his actions with the gambling on and against his team. I don't condone his lies. I don't condone a lot of his other behavior. Right. But what I will say is that when this is the museum of everything and all things baseball, what annoys me and irks me to a very great level is that I feel that there is a natural, very strong hypocrisy that goes with what occurs and how we talk about, how would you say this, the integrity police. It is so fickle about who they mess with, who they don't mess with. As recently as someone like David Ortiz being inducted into the Hall of Fame, I want to make it clear I like David Ortiz. I think he's a great personality. He's beloved. And as a rival fan, I have a lot of respect for Big Papi. He did use, but it was not while this stuff was, quote unquote, illegal to use in Major League Baseball.
Right.
This is an establishment that completely turned a blind eye to the rampant steroid use because it was putting asses back in seats. It was saving the sport. So I don't want to hear about integrity police when the powers that be were the shadiest of them all. Let's make that very clear. It wasn't much of a difference than what Vince McMahon was doing in the 80s with professional wrestling.
Right.
Last thing I want to say is you give AJ Hinch one of these, a slap on the wrist. But yet Rose gets a lifetime ban. And I understand what Rose did was really grimy. But when you're talking about altering history, when you're talking about championships and all this other stuff, like, guys, a 1-year ban, that's all that gets? But a guy post-career who is arguably the greatest hitter that ever lived, not condoning it, but let's not treat each other like children. Put it on his plaque. Explain his transgressions.
That's it.
It looks at the ripe age of 81, he's ready to be contrite, and let him do it. That's it.
You know something? 100% agree with you, because the way I see it is, this guy was probably the most furious player on the field in baseball history. When you look at replays of Pete Rose, he gave it. He was like, I would call him like the Dick Buckus or the Lawrence Taylor. His intensity on the field was like, I come to play. I come to play. If you don't move out the way, I'm going to move you. I come to play. And I don't condone him gambling. And the lies, I really don't. But AJ Hinch, even the big head guy in Boston.
Cora.
Yeah. And you with McGuire and all them on the ballot.
Yes.
But you can't put Pete Rose on there.
That's what I'm getting at, bro.
Yeah. So
you punish Canseco for being the whistleblower, but you want these guys to be honest. Like, come on, man.
Right. And see, I'm like, so they can't talk about integrity. This man is 81 years old. It's just like Shoeless Joe Jackson. I mean, you gotta let these guys get in.
You can't tell the story of baseball.
No.
Without Pete Rose and without Shoeless Joe Jackson.
They want to use those two and talk about baseball, but these guys are not in the Hall of Fame.
And not to mention that that Shoeless Joe Jackson, who has been denied Hall of Fame entry, since long before any of us were even probably alive.
Grandparents too.
This dude, they make money on the
Yes.
Field of Dreams movie, but yet still won't induct this man. If that's not grimy by the establishment, I don't know what is.
And with Shoeless Joe Jackson, he was just one of those country kids, didn't know what was going on. He didn't know. He said it. He didn't know what's going on.
The almost forever and a day too long induction of the Negro League players. Why were they not in Major League Baseball? It certainly wasn't because of ability. It was because they had no choice.
The Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, is the worst.
But we're tripping on Pete Rose gambling when, oddly enough, in that city where he made the Reds relevant, where he was one of the driving forces that made the Reds relevant, now they're allowing gambling there. It's just hypocrisy. Galore. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying that the establishment is backwards. That's all I got on this. Man.
Yeah, same here.
It's 100% hypocrisy, but I think one thing Major League Baseball needs to do is they need to take a page out of the NFL and look at what they're doing with Calvin Ridley. This guy did not get a life ban for doing pretty much the same exact thing, just a slightly different situation, but it was still gambling.
Indeed.
And yet Calvin Ridley will be wearing a uniform again next year. And Calvin Ridley still has the opportunity to save his career and be a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
And to be fair, Zappy, not to interrupt you, I just want to interject and kind of piggyback you. Would it be fair to say, I guess I'm asking you a question. Would it be fair to say that part of the reason why Calvin Ridley's never going to get any kind of ban like that, probably more than likely because of the fact that it's more socially acceptable now amongst the masses?
100%, because I was about to hit on that point, that we also have to look at the time.
Thank you.
Where, it is now 2022, where if we talk about things that were different 20 years ago, it is massively different. We can use the whole marijuana, for example.
You literally took the words out of my mouth because I was about to go there too.
It is, we're literally watching it get recreational legalized across the United States, as more states after the midterms have now passed that bill. So we have to take all those things into consideration. I also am not condoning anything Pete Rose did. However, I am not going to take away from history and say Pete Rose does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, because fact of the matter is, whenever I'm having that conversation with my kids or anybody, who do you think was the greatest hitter of all time or one of the greatest, Pete Rose is always going to be in that conversation. And when I do go to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and then you said, this Pete Rose guy from the Cincinnati Reds deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Well, why isn't he in here? Well, he made a mistake. People make mistakes all the time. We are only human, but people should have the right to recover from those mistakes and not have to suffer through it for the rest of their lives. That's what prison is for. And even prisoners get out of prison.
2 points.
That's just the way I feel about it. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame. That day needs to come, and it needs to come before he passes. Let's put it that way. He needs to get that honor to be able to be standing in front of his friends and family, in front of the great fans of the Cincinnati Reds, past and present, and be able to accept his induction into the Hall of Fame and shed the tears that we know he's going to shed because of the amount of years he will have waited to be inducted.
2 points. To the listeners, viewers, my flag is not in correlation to what Zappy just said. it just had to be coincidence, okay?
Bro, it's all good, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna just keep it a buck and tell you what I think. I lost my dad very untimely when I saw like the litany of pills that man was taking for a litany of afflictions, and I say to myself, I would much rather have him smoking something from the earth as opposed to, and there's many, not just applying it to my father's unfortunate untimely passing, but I'm talking about anybody that has afflictions. So that I have no such issue, and it's gradually coming along.
Yeah.
But this is a weird time in this country on so many levels, socially, even what people can do with their bodies. That is something that I've wanted to hit on, but I will not dare until I have a female panel with me, because at the end of the day, none of us can say that we understand what it would be like, because we don't have those bodies.
I'm gonna try to get my niece on the show. And she's a good female voice.
Yeah, I would be more than happy to see her on here because I
talked to her this weekend.
I think there's an opening.
Yeah. Secondly, there is no Big Red Machine without Pete Rose.
Thank you, sir. Joe Morgan, Pete Rose,
Right.
Obviously Johnny Bench.
Those
were your big three, and they had other players too. But you cannot tell the story of Major League Baseball. And let me tell you, man, I've been a Yankee fan forever, and this is before my time. But when the Cincinnati Reds put the beat down on our beloved New York Yankees, that truly showed their greatness in general. I mean, it wasn't just because they beat my team. That was literally one of the greatest runs in Major League history in terms of how damn good they were. And they also beat the Boston Red Sox in one of the more iconic series in the history of the sport. Obviously, Carlton Fisk.
Machine, man.
Carlton Fisk gets remembered for the walk-off home run, but there was so much more to that. So much more to that series. Cincinnati Reds, long forgotten. They've been a terrible organization for so long. They navigated around years ago, the stuff with Marge Schott. This team hasn't won a World Series since 1990.
Yes. 30 years, 30 plus.
Against, oddly enough, another guy who's been blacklisted and forgotten, Jose Canseco Jr. So you can't be Pete Rose because you didn't tell the truth. You can't be Jose Canseco because you did.
Right. So
I'm sorry.
Which one is it?
You can't hit a home run on a 3-0 count because you're gonna upset the unofficial gods of baseball.
Right.
I wish the commissioner was Bob Uecker.
I love me some Bob Uecker.
Oh my God, you took the
We had a chance to sit in his seats at the Giants Jaguar game for about 3 drives.
3 most important ones.
Right.
I was like, damn, man, these people were banged up. They didn't know we were a hero game.
They were lit.
They were real lit. No pun intended.
And it was hot.
Oh man,
guys,
Bob Uecker.
Guys, similar to the analogy we made with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Idris, you basically threw me an alley-oop and you're like, dunk that shit.
Hey, I'm Draymond Green, man.
Families check each other and families also take out the laundry.
Yeah.
And all I want to say is, like I said, I apologize for whatever that was going on in window 4, but I promise everyone on this panel, everyone that watches, and anyone that so much as ever runs into the show, you will never see that again. Yeah. I am Richie. He is Idris.
One more thing, Richie. I'm sorry.
Is Zappy. By all means, continue.
I just wanted to hit on this real quick before we got away, but I think it's important to mention.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Zappy, are you there?
He froze without freezing, and you can't see him, so now you really don't know if he froze?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Of course I can. Time to talk.
I was talking the whole time.
I'm about to kick you off the show too, bro. We're just going to be an interest here.
Do it.
Anyway, go ahead.
I think it's important that we mentioned the historic moment that took place today in all of U.S. sports history with Carolyn O'Connor being promoted to team president and manager for the Miami Marlins.
Good shout. I posted it, and it did almost sleep my mind. So I'm glad you mentioned it. Zappy, take it home.
No, that was it. Just the fact that, we continue to see more and more women being involved with all our professional sports. I think it's a great thing. Look, you take, for example, Becky Hammond.
And I know it hits home with you because you have motivated daughters.
Exactly. And those are the things I like to point out to them because, my oldest daughter, for example, she made her 7th grade basketball team. She made the A team, and she's always more and more questions
Happy
about.
to hear that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm very excited. But she's always asking me questions about NBA players, WNBA. Are there women in the NBA, or are there any women associated with the NBA? So, the first thing I pointed her to was Becky Hammond and how, just her being under Greg Popovich for those couple of years, look what it did to her. She goes to Las Vegas, and now they're the WNBA champs, just like that. And we see it in the NFL with more women being involved. And, I think people need to understand that the times have changed a lot. Something we alluded to a little while
sure.
ago, and we're seeing more and more women, and it's great. It's a thing of beauty to see women involved with men's sports, because at the end of the day, well, men are involved in women's sports, so why can't women be involved with men's sports? And believe it or not, there are a lot of women out there that know a lot more about any professional sport than a lot of men do in this country.
And to close it out, it's so funny how this, of all times, this story would intertwine into the show, because I've made mention of this before on other shows. The initial time that I ever did anything with a podcast, the title was called Super Bowl Sunday, when I was a member of the Jordan Patrick Show, and we spoke on the late great Kobe Bryant, his contributions to women's basketball post NBA career. You hear something like this, it's freaking awesome. And what makes it even more funny that would come up today, and something that did happen today, is also that on that particular episode, the other main segment besides covering the Super Bowl was the Pete Rose, AJ Hinch, put in your favorite cheater. Good stuff, gentlemen. Good stuff. Proud of both of you. This was a really awesome show.
Oh, that one's supposed to happen. My bad.
Well, I mean, you could say, Richie, you don't gotta lie. I mean, it could have been.
I was trying to find it, and I actually hit it.
Well played, sir. That was the kind of finish that this show deserved. Guys, I appreciate you both. Hell of a job. We're gonna be back on Thursday with our hip hop show. Details to come. Look forward to seeing you there for that. Until next time, I am Richie. He is Idris. In the corner is my man Mike Zappi. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go get in my living room and see what's happening with this football game. Have a great night,